We're just waiting for some of our friends to join us. How are you doing? Hi, Anna. I knew you would join us this afternoon. How are you guys doing? Khalid. Oh my goodness. Hello. I can hear your ukulele already. I can hear it. Flavinho. Hi, guys. All right. We're just hanging in there. So I'm so happy that you guys could join me today. I suppose you are all excited to learn a little bit more about the topic. So today I am going to continue on my wave regarding speaking skills. And yesterday we touched on how to speak like a native and how to be more comfortable about native speakers. How's it, Maureen? Oh, Flavinia, I miss you too. Hi, Anas. Hello. Hey, Facebook. A booty. Has it? All right. So, Jacqueline. Mwah. Wow. Okay, I'm getting distracted. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining me today, or this afternoon, or this morning, wherever you are. So, let's get cracking on this amazingness. Today, we are talking about contributing to conversations. So, what is exactly, guys? Can you tell me? What does it mean to contribute? I should have a jingle in the background. Jacqueline, can you tell me? What does it mean to contribute? Well, to contribute means to give, right? So if you are joining a conversation, you want to be able to contribute to that conversation, right? Very good, Anna. Like sharing, having ideas to share during a conversation. It can be really hard. And a couple of days ago, I spoke about anxiety and how that plays a big role in us shutting down when we speak. I'm also going to tell you a secret. This is not only for non-native speakers. This can be a serious issue for everybody, right? So taking it in that direction today. Today, I'm going to share with you, how's it, Ian? 4 of my favorite recommendations to students on how one can contribute to a conversation. So the first thing that you want to consider is your comprehension skills, which means your understanding. You need to understand what is being said. This means that you have to exercise that skill a lot. So again, just like yesterday, there's something that you can do before you even jump into a conversation. So this is the first tip. How's it, Fabio? Yesterday we spoke about talking to yourself and talking to the mirror. Now, what I'd like you to do is quite eccentric. So I'd like you to listen to some podcasts, and the podcast can be on anything, but it should be topics that you're not very familiar with. And hyper and topics like, global topics, things that are happening at the moment. IELTS writing topics are really good. If you can just search online for it. The IELTS topics are very good because they cover general ideas and talk shows that argue and discuss ideas and opinions. There are so many available online that you could join. So listen to a podcast or a short chat, a TED talk, and pretend that after, excuse me, afterwards, you need to give your opinion and your ideas. Just imagine that you're listening to someone or some people talking in a conversation, and you're listening and you're listening. But when it's finished, you might want to contribute to that conversation. Once you've done that, you've listened, record yourself. Go to a mirror and record yourself giving your contribution to that conversation, speaking about what you think, your ideas, sort of argue it out with that handsome or beautiful creature that is staring back at you in the mirror. Okay, record yourself, then listen to yourself. So when you listen to yourself, you are going to do a number of things, which I'm going to talk to you about now. So tip number 2, reflection. Once you have listened and you have responded to that beautiful creature in the mirror, and you have listened to yourself, you have to answer a couple of questions. And these are, did you repeat yourself a lot? So did you stumble over your words and repeat yourself? Did you speak robotically, or were you fluent? Did you make sense? This is a big one. When you spoke, did it sound like you made sense? So were you intelligible? Can somebody understand what you're saying? Was your will, but your basic grammar needs to be good. And when I say basic grammar, nobody cares about your future perfect continuous tense and how well you can use it. I promise you. What you need to be looking at are your basic structures. Are you using the verb to be correctly, the present simple, the past? Are you using the correct tense in general, present, past, future? Is your subject, verb, object concord accurate? Are you using the correct pronouns? Are you mixing your verbs and your nouns? Basic grammar. This needs to be pretty good, because when basic grammar is inaccurate, people tend to switch off. They sort of lose interest in what you're saying. They don't mean it, it just happens. It's an automatic thing. So remember, nobody cares about your fancy grammar. People want to understand what you're saying. Yeah. Grammar, basic grammar just reduces your clarity. So that doesn't help much. How was your pronunciation? Were you intelligible? Remember that your accent is beautiful the way it is. You can try to reduce accent a little bit. That's perfectly fine. And we will talk about that as well. Ooh, my list is getting longer. You will always have an accent when you speak English, and that's perfectly fine. But severe pronunciation errors can really reduce your intelligibility. Another one is, it might sound impossible, but it's very possible. Did you speak too fast? Or did you speak too slow? So how are you going to benchmark this? Well, we are usually quite critical of ourselves, right? So you're going to answer those questions to yourself, honestly. And your standard should be the same as what you listened to. So listen to the formality, listen to the register and the type of vocabulary that's used. And you've got to try and match that. So if the talk was relaxed, that's where you need to go. So we've got your comprehension skills, which is listening and understanding, and we've got reflection. Another cool thing that you can do if you have the fortune of having a teacher on speed dial is to send your recording to your teacher and ask your teacher for some guidance as well. So that's a really cool thing that you can do, or perhaps even ask a friend that has a strong level of English to give you some feedback on it. So can you understand me? And ask them to answer those questions. Right. So these 2 tips, number 1 and 2, are crucial. They must be practiced. Remember that you have to listen. And And another thing that is really important, and I have said this before, is hi, Patricia. Hello. Jean-Paul. Eduardo. I think I just saw you, buddy. Oh, I get distracted with you wonderful people. A really important thing that you need to do is observe speakers in their natural environment. It sounds very planet Earth, hey? So even if you can just sit back, relax, and not understand absolutely everything, but observe speakers when they talk to each other, their body language, how they are responding to the listener. Sorry, the speaker, and their feedback. So when they're not speaking, what are they doing? I promise you they're not on their phones, all right? So before you jump into conversations, make sure that you're doing these 2 steps first. Then, number 3, what are the trending conversation topics? Now, I know what you're thinking, okay? You're thinking, whatever, Nicoletta. There are thousands and thousands of different conversations to be had, which is true. But then why do people always talk about the weather? Think about that for a second. Or how they are feeling. If there are so many topics to be spoken about, then why do we always talk about the same things? Well, because we are afraid to talk about other topics. We might not have a lot of knowledge with that regard. So even though it's tricky to a certain degree, because you can't really know what will be spoken about in a social situation, there are some guidelines that you can follow. So consider this. You're going to a social situation. You're going to be joining a social situation. And it could be, I'm going to give you some examples. You could be, right, let me take a step back. So there are 3 things that you can really consider, 2 things that you can really consider. Where are you going in the social situation and who you will be with? Depending on these 2 things, and I'll give you some examples of each, there are certain topics that you're almost guaranteed to be exposed to. So let's look at where you are going. So you're going to a restaurant. At a restaurant, you're bound to speak about hobbies, experiences, and travel, for example. Abudi says that topic is easy to talk about. Yes, because that's what everybody talks about all the time. All the time. But now I'm going to talk about the other topics. So in a restaurant, you're bound to talk about hobbies, experiences, and travel. If you go to a club, a nightclub, to dance, etc., the topics are going to be fashion, music, and trends. If you go to the cinema, the topics of discussion before and after might be the movies, genres of movies, and books. Do you know how many times I've spoken about a movie and I have then said, oh my goodness, I had to read the book afterwards, and the book just blew my mind. Have you read it? And then becomes the discussion. So many of my greatest reads were based on, well, the movie was based on that particular book. So many. So it's a common thread. The other one is who will be there. So irrespective of where you're going, the people that you're going to be socializing with will also steer the topic. So for example, if you are hanging out with close friends and family, the topics will be life in general, work, study, future plans, relationships. So maybe your mom will ask you about your boyfriend or your girlfriend, opinions, because we feel safe with our family and close friends. So we let our guard down and we speak about our opinions and maybe even jokes, right? If you have a mix of people, so friends that you know and a new crowd. So perhaps let's talk about friends that you know and then you've invited some new friends to join. The type of topics you can expect are travel, ambitions, shared interests, and entertainment. like, where you're going to go out next. If you are socializing with an older generation, so senior citizens, maybe your grandparents, or just older than you, the type of discussions that might arise, topics, are food, books, and I know this is really strange, but medicine. Yeah. If I hang out with my grandparents, it's all about the aches and the pains and the doctor's visits. I think you know what I mean, huh? And another one is past experiences. Elderly folk like to talk about their past experiences and share their wisdom with the younger crowd, right? So a multicultural group of people. So you're hanging out with multicultural and lingual, which is pretty much the type of people that I socialize with. It's like everybody I know is multicultural or multilingual. The type of conversations we have are about travel, about pop culture, common interests, events, hobbies, languages, sometimes politics. But the reason why is because we are from diverse cultures and traditions. So, different religions and traditions and ideas in politics do sort of jump in. And the last one would be colleagues. If you are hanging out with colleagues, what comes up? A very good phrase for you, you talk shop. So you talk about work. It's inevitable, probably not the greatest, but a little bit of gossip as well. And perhaps also some present observations. So why they are there, if there's anything new happening. So this is something really big to consider, guys. Remember that you have just stepped into the situation of you're going to now try to contribute to conversations that are outside of talking about the weather, right? So find out where you're going, or find out, you know where you're going and who you're going with. Based on that, try and do a little bit of research. So do some reflecting on that and do some research online, and you'll find many, many, many hundreds of thousands of hits on the topics that I have just told you. You could probably come up with about 250 ways to start a conversation about common interests. And all you need to do is learn one of them, and answer it to yourself, of course, right? You don't actually have to go on an event. If it stresses you out, you can also just go online and start chatting with people. I do it every single day. And I love it when people say, oh, Nicoletta, let's do a conversation class. And when I start the conversation class, everyone stares at each other. It's not as easy as it sounds. You really do need to start the discussion somewhere, right? So this is really, really important. Do a little bit of research before you go out and see how you can prepare yourself for some of the type of discussions that can be had. And perhaps if the conversation lulls a little bit, you can start the conversation with something that you've researched. Why not, right? And then, guys, the last tip I have for you is, I can't stress this enough, and I speak about it all the time, but it is world knowledge. Imagine you get asked by somebody, so what are you reading at the moment? What would you say right now? What would you say? Are you reading anything? What if you aren't? What are you going to answer? Are you just going to say, I'm not reading something? You need to learn to circumnavigate, which means is to sort of like go around that particular question and direct it somewhere else. For example, if you aren't reading anything at the moment, which is possible, you could say, well, at the moment I'm pretty much focused on studying, and I'm giving lessons online, and I'm keeping fit and looking after my kids. It's a pretty stressful time. But I keep up with what's going on. In fact, I I was really fascinated by this article that I read on UN News about how they are exploring a different way for hackers, legal hackers, to start working on coding the curve for coronavirus. Have you read the article? It's really, really interesting. So you can see how I've said, I know I'm not reading anything. Why? And I have directed the conversation. It basically helps you not only to answer the question, but also to keep the conversation going. Otherwise, it stops. The person might say, no, I don't really do that. I don't read much news online. I find it a bit boring. But you know what? It sounds really interesting. And so the conversation can continue. So, guys, at the end of the day, contributing to a conversation ultimately needs a little bit of reflection. A little bit of reflection, a little bit of preparation, and you're set. Remember that you're doing this in another language. You cannot expect, as a non-native speaker, to walk into a room full of people that are speaking English and just join the conversation and know what's going on. It's not going to happen. You have to take a step back and do a little bit of practice. Guys, you're pretty much all in a position now to spend a little bit of time online. There are so many ways, guys. There are so many ways that you can practice this. There are, I think about just TED Talk, for example, those podcasts from the British Council. They are amazing, amazing. And of course, as always, try to get onto online chats with some friends or some classmates. Every single day, I get to see some of the guys that have been joining me. And I know that Eduardo and Salah and Abdullah and Ahmed, Sonia, you guys, it's so awesome. We hang out together and we chat, and every day there is something new. Do that. Find ways for you to practice this. And as time goes by, you will start feeling a lot more confident in your abilities to contribute to a conversation. Just remember that it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. All right. With that, guys, thank you very much for having joined me this afternoon or this morning. As always, I'm going to be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock for our next talk, always regarding speaking. So tomorrow we are going to be looking at speaking hacks. It's going to be fun, quick fire. As always, a reminder to all of you that English One is online. We have some fantastic virtual classrooms. Hi, Mimo. We have fantastic virtual classrooms and offer private lessons as well as other online services and specialized classes with our exceptional teachers and I. If you are interested in want more information, please reach out to us on one of our platforms, Instagram and Facebook, as well as our email, learn@englishone.coza, or our WhatsApp, which is also going to be in the description box below at the end of this video. And just so that you guys know, I'm going to be circulating a survey about online lessons, so keep an eye out for that. If you can spend 3.5 minutes to answer 4 questions for me, that would be amazing. It's just going to make my lessons and chats even better. All right. Hi, Raquel. So I haven't said hi to absolutely everybody. Guys, it was really great to see you this afternoon, this morning. I wish you the most beautiful day if you've just surfaced, and a fantastic evening to those that are calling it a day. So guys, from me in Cape Town, much love. Thank you for joining. You're wonderful. I love you all. Mwah. Bye-bye.